Today on the Caucus, Megan Lieberman and Ashley Parker discuss Anthony Weiner and the future of social media in politics. Also, Nick Confessore reports from Albany as lawmakers move slowly towards a vote on gay marriage.
So Ashley, after a few dramatic and graphic weeks, the Anthony Weiner scandal finally ended yesterday when he resigned from Congress. But we do sort of wonder whether politicians will ever look at Twitter the same way again.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to throw up a warning flag for them. They're going to be a little more hesitant before they tweet. But the thing we have to remember is that before this happened, Anthony Weiner was actually sort of a star Twitter user. He had a punchy, candid account. It was feisty. It was very much like his political persona.
And a big following.
It's the same way Senator Claire McCaskill also, she has a pretty honest, fun account. She tweeted out that she was feeling fat and she was going to the gym, and people love that.
And it has become this incredibly important tool, both for sort of building a politician's profile, but also for controlling the message. We now see all sorts of politicians using it for announcements, Tim Pawlenty using it to recoup from his bad debate performance on Monday night.
Oh yeah, politicians will announce their candidacy on YouTube. They will pre-tweet a pre-announcement on Twitter. The ways politicians are using it are sort of all ends of the spectrum.
So obviously we expect that most politicians are not using Twitter in quite the way that Anthony Weiner did.
Right, I'd hope not.
I hope not too. But this scandal has pointed out some of the potential dangers of more routine tweeting, right? So we do have Twitter issuing guidelines to politicians.
And I'm sure politicians are now having their staffers vet their tweets before they're tweeted out the same way they would a press release.
Probably the master of social media in the political world has been Sarah Palin, who's really created like an alternative media universe for herself.
The funny thing is when I was interviewing Anthony Weiner sort of pre-scandal, he pointed this out as well. Sarah Palin, if you look at her tweets, she'll often use almost all 140 characters. And what that does is it prevents anyone from retweeting it and adding their own snarky commentary. And so she's found a way to control the message even in a freewheeling forum like Twitter.
And so we do expect that this has become such an important part of political lives that it's going to continue to be one going into this campaign. So how do we see politicians maybe changing their use of this stuff?
I think you'll see politicians being more careful, like we said, having staff vet, thinking twice of if I tweet this out, how will this look on the nightly news? How will someone interpret it? But I definitely think it's not going away, so I think we can expect to see probably more Twitter throughout the campaign and probably one or two more Twitter scandals.
Nick Confessore has been reporting from Albany as lawmakers continue to wrangle over legalizing gay marriage in New York State.
It is never a pretty process. I'm not sure it's going to be gorgeous today.
New York State could be on the cusp of becoming the 6th and largest state in the country to legalize same-sex marriage. It could also become the latest state in which advocates of same-sex marriage have suffered a defeat. Right now in the New York State Senate, we have a 31-31 split. There are 29 Democrats and 2 Republicans who say they'll back this measure. There are also a small number of Republican senators who are considered open to backing the measure. And the game right now is to see if Republicans who control the Senate will bring this measure to a vote, and how many lawmakers from among them, 1, 2, 3, 4, who knows, how many will come out in support of this bill or stick with their opposition from a couple of years ago.
Discussions are going to continue. The issue has not been resolved.
Right now, the debate is focused around a question of religious freedom. There's a core group of Republican senators who say they are concerned that the bill, which was drafted by Governor Andrew Cuomo, does not go far enough in protecting the rights of religious people to exercise their freedom of speech. For example, by denying services to same-sex couples for weddings, for adoption, and so forth. Right now, Governor Andrew Cuomo and his staff and various lawmakers are meeting privately, and they are going over this bill language very carefully, trying to decide how far they can go with this, what kind of resolution might be acceptable to both advocates for same-sex marriage, who are wary of writing in any kind of what they consider a discrimination law or freedom to discriminate into the bill, and opponents of same-sex marriage who say that their freedom to practice their religion could be infringed. All around the country we've seen an early burst of energy for this issue kind of get squashed. You've seen ballot initiatives, mostly won by conservatives who oppose same-sex marriage. And despite some advances in Washington for advocates of gay rights, like the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, at the state level, advocates are really looking for a big victory to signal that they can get some momentum back on this issue for themselves.